recording now. Okay. And I just wanted to add something into that. So we were talking about, a lot of folks are talking about oversight, right? Basically what engages the problem, or what allows the problem, is the lack of oversight. But we don't have someone watching these folks or ensuring that compliance to what is regulated, what we have the legislative access to do, that no one is enforcing that on our behalf or supporting us on our behalf. And I believe that a simple investment, an expansion of a state department to assist in the enforcement of public housing throughout the state, right? We have Albany as well as Buffalo, I believe Buffalo. And just ensuring that Section 3 monies are properly redistributed, ensuring that things are written, that there's no misrepresentation of the legislation, as we see time and time again, and that the intent of the program is being met. Now, for a lot of folks, and I had a lot of other folks saying, because not too long ago, yesterday actually, the Preservation Trust came out of the Assembly and also came out of the Senate. I don't know if the governor signed it yet, right? But that would be the last step to make it law. So I don't know if she signed it yet, but that
she has not signed it yet. But
so if she is to sign it, the Preservation Trust is focused on 25,000 units. So we have 63,000 units that are slated to go to RAD. And now if HOCHU signs this bill, ratifies it, then now this 25,000 will be slated to be converted under Section 8 tenant protection vouchers. A lot of folks don't understand. It's not just the 30% of your household income, because this is the common language that they give everyone. Oh, it's the same 30% of your household income. One thing that we don't have is the 120% AMI income protections. So we lose that. So if anyone goes over 80% of the AMI, you lose the subsidy. You're paying fair market rate. That's going to put a burden on people. That's going to transition people from going 30% to potentially 60%. Being fair.
How's it determined which of the 25,000 units they are?
Of those that are making oh no. So under the Preservation Trust, there is an option for the community to vote. The specificity of how that vote would be arranged, what that vote would entail, has not been presented into the bill, which gives now NYCHA the policy-making authority to engage in that. And these are the things that gives us pause, because these are things that should have been in the legislation. These are things that should have been communicated with us so that we can put input into this legislation. And
Manny, is it going to follow federal laws? Because resident engagement is under the federal law, and resident approval or disapproval is part of the federal law, and the state cannot supersede federal law.
So no, the approval or disapproval in this regard is under state law. There is no approval or
because
disapproval
it's changing from
law.
Section 9 to Section 8.
No, but Section 8 is federal. Section 8 is federal also.
Correct.
Right, Section 8 is federal. The Preservation Trust is the vehicle that NYCHA is using, or that the state is using, in order to receive the tenant protection vouchers for these conversions, right? So they're converting these apartment units under tenant protection vouchers and using those vouchers as leverage as collateral rather, to get loans so that they can fix the apartments under the guise of them being, uninhabitable. Or at a point of disrepair that needs additional assistance. But instead of moving them out with the TPV, they're going to use the TPV to repair the apartments. That is, in a nutshell, the whole basis of doing this plan.
So Manny, would you say that the people are happy with the guy who's running NYCHA now, or they're unhappy?
No one is happy with NYCHA.
We're unhappy.
We've been happy with NYCHA for the last 30 years.
No, I'm talking about the guy who's running it now, who's doing the blueprint for change, and
including Greg. I like that. Greg, I know Greg. Greg Rust
We're
is
unhappy with Greg Russ.
Huh?
Don't like the way he conducts business. That may be excellent if you're running a business, maybe a retail business. That may be excellent for your stockholders, but this is not a retail business. It's a business, but it's not retail. You know, we're humans, we have souls. We don't like the way Mr. Russ conducts business. And then when he doesn't hear from us what he wants to hear, he just supersedes us.
Well, listen, everybody I've been meeting that's in leadership positions, as far as tenant representation, I've been impressed by. I'm sure to get into these positions, how do you get into these positions as presidents and as TAs?
The voting process.
You're gonna be
The
voted by the
mayor,
residents.
the mayor appoints you. What voting?
No,
The
you're talking about
mayor
resident council
No, no,
president.
no. TA,
Chairperson.
I'm talking about you, all of you.
the
Your
resident,
position, my
Oh.
position.
resident associations.
We're
Our
voted in.
residents vote us in.
Yeah.
It is entirely run by the residents. They vote us in. They nominate us. They vote us in. It has nothing to do with Gregory Russ. However, he is trying to mute us lately. He is trying to silence our voices with this preservation trust. He is now taking the responsibility that we have been entrusted in as leaders to do what's best and advise our tenants of what this preservation trust is. And he's decided to step over us and ask our residents that have no clue what this trust entails to vote on if they want to opt in or out. And they don't even realize that if you opt out of the preservation trust, you are actually opting in to RAD. That's your choice. You either get privatized under a public-private partnership or under the trust, NYCHA, and Hochul has already said she's signing off on this. So once she signs off on it, what it's gonna do is offer NYCHA the ability to get $40 billion worth of bonds, take it out against our developments. And there's clauses in this new bill. If you put your email in the chat, I will mail the entire upgraded bill to you because it's too big to put into the chat. I can email it only. But if you put your emails, I will send it to you. It does not state that all this money has to go for upgrades and repairs. NYCHA says they're gonna do it, but NYCHA has never told us the truth. And what's going to happen when they don't pay these bonds back in a timely manner? They will foreclose on our buildings. And then where will we be? Because nobody's watching what NYCHA's doing. NYCHA has gotten money from most of our elected city council people to upgrade playgrounds, to upgrade basketball courts, to fix our community rooms, money that didn't come from NYCHA, but came from our elected officials, and NYCHA has still not spent the money that they have received since 2017 from elected officials to do repairs. They sit on our money. NYCHA gets $30 million a month from HUD. They only spend 6% of the money on capital repairs every month. The other 94% goes to private consultants. But yet us TA presidents, we are volunteers. We should be your consultants. We talk to our residents on a daily basis. We do all the work, and now he doesn't even want to recognize us. The only one he does want to recognize is CCOP, which is not fair. We do all the work. CCOP sits there and doesn't even report to us that they had made a MOU with them until the last minute. Danny Barber doesn't tell us what he's doing. Danny Barber doesn't come to the Upper West Side. Danny Barber sits up in the South Bronx and does not make decisions for us and doesn't communicate with us. I don't report to Danny Barber, and everybody on this call can go back and tell him I said it because I don't care.
Now, Danny Barber is what, from CCOP?
He is the president of the Citywide Council of Presidents, and he allowed Greg Russ to come into his development a couple of weeks ago and ask his residents if they wanted to be in the Preservation Trust or opt out. And the little handful of people that showed up opted into the trust. Danny Barber sat mute on the sidelines, abstained from voting, abstained from telling his residents just how dangerous this trust could be, how if the building goes into foreclosure, which as a matter of fact, his building is in foreclosure, what could possibly happen to him? He sat on the sidelines mute. So whose side is Danny Barber actually on? Clearly not mine. CCOP needs to be disbanded. I don't trust CCOP any more than I trust Gregory Russ.
Now, how does CCOP get their positions? If you guys are elected by the residents, how does
They
CCOP
were
get their positions?
Listen, they were elected by other presidents. There was supposed to be, every borough was supposed to be a council. Manhattan South, Manhattan North, Brooklyn South, Brooklyn North. Now, because HUD changed the bylaws, we're not even considered councils anymore. We're considered committees beholden onto CCOP. They did that without informing us presidents that we were actually losing our say. All you presidents on this call that are not aware that we are now considered a committee and not a council, we have lost our identity in the subcommittees underneath CCOP. And that's not fair. That's not democratic. But these are the deals that Danny Barber made behind our backs during a pandemic.
So Manny, Manny, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How many presidents are there like the people on this call?
How many presidents on this call?
No, how many are there in total?
Oh, we have close to 300. And that is all right. So what's happening now, resident councils that are going through conversions under RAD, which we have several conversions that have happened, which is private management taking over the development. They come off of the NYCHA's portfolio. And so the NYCHA presidents are shrinking and the RAD presidents are expanding, but they're still presidents and we're still all in this essentially together as much as we possibly can, but it's roughly about 300, just under 300.
And so what do you think about the turnout tonight? You think it's a good turnout or you think it's a bad turnout?
This is a decent turnout for the time frame that I took to market it. For me to get the materials together, you know, I had a lot of things going on. A lot of this was today marketing. To get roughly 30 folks to come out.
Well, I appreciate everybody here. Does anybody, it says cupbearer on his name. Cupbearer, is there anything you want to share with us?
It's funny you asked. I was just wondering if in fact, you guys, I know you're here because you're running for governor and, you know, it's a good thing. But now, if by chance you don't make it, will the Residents Council or could the Residents Council or NYCHA depend on your full support? Because I like the fact that when you opened up, Congressman, you said that Mr. Martinez educated you on a lot of issues regarding the residents there. Now, with those issues, and for me, I think the number one issue is finances. Section 3 would be an ideal place to help residents qualify to purchase their homes. They don't need a program. If they was getting enough money with all the monies that's being spent through government and repairs and so forth and programs that's supposed to be designed to help them get there, I think if there was a force to make the monies come through the right hands and the residents, they could very well move on their own without looking for section 9 or section 8 or a section or Hope 6 program, because Hope 6 started over 20 years ago.
Where do you live, sir?
I live in South Jamaica.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I talked to you before. Okay, yeah. You're a homeowner.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm outside right now. I'm on mute for that noise.
All right.
Would just
Well,
like to say something, sir, Mr. Suozzi. We have, as in reference, if I'm not being out of line, Mr. Cupbearer, we have people who are concerned about residents that reside in public housing. And we have homeowners that have family members that live in public housing. So I am very grateful to Mr. Cupbearer for being here to stand up for the residents of public housing. We need everybody that we can get to support us and to stand behind us, because there is so much unfair treatment. There's so much, it's an oxymoron in terms of understanding what's going on in the public area. We're told one thing at 9 o'clock. We disseminate that to, well, I disseminate that to my board members and to my residents. And by 9:30, the information has changed. So it makes some of the presidents look unqualified, undignified. And then we're all put into one pot, which it should not be, because there are persons that fight and that are extremely committed to fighting for their community. So once again, I thank you, Mr. Cupbearer, for specifying that you are a homeowner and you're still here on this call. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Suozzi, you need a vote. I need a home. We need to sit down and talk. And like in the words of Shirley Chisholm, if you cannot bring me to the table and have a chair for me, I'll bring a folding chair, or I'm just gonna stand there. Because if my home is taken away from me, I'm gonna wind up being your next door neighbor. So we need people, I need people. I represent my development and I need my development to be safe. We need to watch out for these children who do not sign these leases, okay? And we need to take care of our seniors. We cannot have them uprooted and replanted. And that seems to be what's going on now. If you live in South Jamaica, you're being removed from your apartment and you're being sent to the Bronx. If you're in the Bronx, you're being sent to Brooklyn. This is not fair.
Why is that happening?
That you would have to sit down and speak to the people of the organization called NYCHA, sir. And that's why I said, as a lawyer, would you be able to dumb it down for me? I can only speak for me, but dumb it down for me, the language that I'm not able to understand.
Well,
The ifs, the bends, the shells, the wills, and the could be's. I need to know what's going on to save the residents that voted me in, to protect them. And I can only do that if I am learned from those who have the experience to show me. I would love to meet with Ms. Titz. I've felt her energy on several occasions. I'm very impressed with Mr. Martinez, okay? And Mr. Toppins, who has gotten on this call as well. I am looking to be taught the right way to assist the people who have put their faith in me. And I'm looking for a politician who's gonna make a statement and live by that statement to the best of his or her ability, and not forget about us once they receive the seat that they're seeking. Thank you, and I yield the floor.
You know, one of the things you said, Kiko, was about having a seat at the table. And I mean, I'm interested in, I've always done that in my whole career. I always try and bring people in so that the people who are involved have power and they could actually make change. So I've just always done that throughout my career, reaching out to people. So, you know, when I was the county executive of Nassau County, for example, I brought in a New York City police commissioner to become the police commissioner in Nassau County. He was a black guy. Could you imagine what it was like in 2002, bringing a chief from the New York City Police Department out to be the chief of the Nassau County Police Department? And Keechant Sewell, who's now the commissioner of police of New York City, came up through the ranks of Nassau County because she was promoted by the police commissioner I brought from New York City. I always try to bring people to have a seat at the table so they can have power, especially Black and brown people. Women. I mean, my commissioner of health was a Latina. My commissioner of mental health was a Latina. My deputy county executive for economic development was an African-American man. My police commissioner, as I said. My first deputy county executive for Parks and Public Works was an African-American man. So the key is to bring people in who have your same agenda onto your team so they have the power to help implement the changes you're seeking. So I would try and get representatives from the presidents to be part of a committee to help figure out a game plan as to how to take the good stuff from the blueprint for change, fix the bad stuff in the blueprint for change, and bring in new ideas to figure out how to move forward as a team. That's what I've been doing my whole career, is bringing in the different stakeholders so that working together, we can solve the problem. So I can promise you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Doesn't mean anything. Look at my record. I got a record of doing stuff, of serving people, of solving problems. That's what I've been doing my whole career. So listen, I want you to be on my team. I want you to help me. The NYCHA housing residents have had very little participation in Democratic primaries, like 4% turnout. It's like, it's only 10 to 15% turnout of everybody, but NYCHA housing residents have been like 4% turnout. So you could have tremendous influence if you got involved. And I'm asking you to get involved with me. And I'm asking you to look at my record, look at Diana Reddy's record, listen to what we're saying tonight, proven executive, common sense Democrat, crime, affordability, helping our kids in our troubled schools, going after corruption. I want to help the residents of NYCHA housing. There's a lot of people you could help that are just right now, it sounds to me like you've been ignored for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
And when I've toured the physical plant of a lot of these different buildings, I see it. So
I think ignored is the wrong word. We've been abused. It's if we was ignored, we wouldn't be this battered and bruised. We have been intentionally abused. Now, I know that you have a hard stop, Congressmember Suozzi, at 8:30. That's what I've been told. I would love to have a part 2 if you're open to it. I know that the primary, and now this is a key thing, and he's 100% right. And I think it's because we as a community don't make the distinction between general election and the primary. But for us, a Democratic city or primarily Democratic city, the primary is what really determines the election, not the general election, but the primary. And so the primary is the most important election, not only for the governor, but for every other position that happens here, council member, state senator, assembly. These are the primaries, are the ones that we have to come out for.
June 28th.
Suozzi, potentially we could have a part 2.
Of course, I'd love to do that. I want to get you on my team. That's why I want to work together. I'm in the business of helping people. This to me is the most doable helping people thing that I've encountered in this whole campaign.
Yeah.
My campaign staff said, why don't you, we don't have time for doing NYCHA housing. Nobody votes anyway. I keep on pushing to do more NYCHA stuff because I think there's just so much opportunity to help people and solve problems. It's just a matter of getting everybody to work together.
Everyone here who's elected got elected because that's their main focus, to help people in their community and to be a voice of reason, of defense, and of opportunity for their neighbors. And so in that, we're like-minded, Congressman. And I thank you, and I thank Diana for coming out tonight. Oh, yes, sir.
I'm supposed to go at 8:30, but I just want to see if anybody wants to say anything. So Robin Topping or Jose or Priscilla Jamerson or Rosa McLeod or Natasha Florentino or Veda or Donna Barrett or Sheila Woods or Russell the Phoenix or Lawanda or anybody else who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. Ms. Allen, SI.
You're long-winded like me, so I do understand. Thank you for coming back once again. Several things crossed my mind when you were talking a moment ago when Miss Kiko Charles was saying things to you about you said, well, you brought a black man into this. I've experienced stuff. I went to HBCU in the South, and I experienced them having police. 5 people from my college actually were graduating, became police officers less than a year and a half. In Little Rock, Pulaski County, they got rid of all of them and fired them, tried to put some of them in jail. And on the other turn behind that, the damn commissioner of the police, they set him up to steal $20 out of the pharmacy, and then he killed himself. This country has never been good to us. A reason why I'm sharing that, because you're talking about that. I've experienced this in going to school and seeing that. These were some of my friends that I went to school that we graduated from, HBCU. The other issue is, you know how government works. The government is the problem. You're going into Congress, you have a good, powerful stance. Have lunch with those people and let them understand how we are living. Yes, we've been ignored, but you're going to take care of Ukraine and send all that damn money over there and make investments, invest over here in our North Hills of America, NYCHA housing development. Why the hell y'all don't sit up there and help us when you actually can? What are you afraid of? You want to line your damn pockets? Get that crap out of the system and come back and do what people elect you to do, and we will be on your team. You talked about 4% of NYCHA residents are not voting because they don't help us. They do everything but that. That's why people don't have faith in the voting system. They started the early voting so they could cut the lines. But even at that, the turnout is even low. If you really want to be about something and you really want to be not seasoned like those other politicians that are in there, then you're a freshman. Study the freshman workman book and don't listen to the seasoned workers, because they are all corrupt. They do what the hell they want. They get their pockets lined. The government does redlining and separate communities and put blacks on one side of town, and then tell you can't go on that side. When we get promoted to move to the other side of town, they don't give us a damn bank loan. So I'm not yelling at you. I'm letting you know this is the real deal. I'm not playing games with none of you all. I yield the floor and thank you for coming. Put that in your pipe and smoke that.
So thank you, Ronald. So listen, I've been in Congress for 5.5 years. I'm on the Ways and Means Committee. And I'm giving that up. I could stay in Congress for the next 10 years if I wanted to. I'd keep on getting reelected like the rest of the guys. But I'm sick and tired of everybody just fighting with each other. And I'm sick and tired of people suffering in my state of New York. And I'm sick and tired of my own party, the Democratic Party, not focusing on the basics. And there's a big difference between being a legislator and being a chief executive.
That is exactly correct.
I was a mayor. I was a county executive. Now I'm a member of Congress. I want to be the governor so I can be the chief executive, so I can help run things. I can help bring the parties together and say, you do this and you do that. And what are they saying over there? And what are they saying? And figure out a plan and move forward with it. So, Ronald, you're a good man. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Country, because this capitalism exists. When it comes to capitalism, it is corruption. So you know that if you've been in Congress. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and tell you salt is not salty, nor sugar is not sweet. I'm bringing it to you straightforward. If y'all going to do this crap to us, we come to your house and we go into your house and take meals out. We're not playing no more. We have already organized. A. Philip Randolph told us how to do that. James Baldwin told us what.
But you got to get organized. That's what you got to do. You got to get organized. You got to win this election.
Listen, you want a job, we want a house. So Kiko already told you. So let's figure that out.
Okay.
All I can say, sir, is as I said, you can just relay this to the governor for me, because the mayor doesn't particularly care for me. We've already had 2 run-ins, but we can try to get ourselves organized. We can try to do something different, but we have to understand there's a variety of income living in public housing. There's a variety of intelligence living in public housing. I am still confused as to why we're not utilizing our community centers. I'm still confused as to why we do not have members in our communities working in our community centers. I'm not understanding how the community centers, to my understanding, do not pay rent, but they're receiving revenue. I'm not understanding how the governor can take a concern with a football stadium and not worry about the babies that need heat. I do understand.
I couldn't agree
war.
with you more there, Kiko.
I do understand war, but as it was mentioned earlier, when money is going out of the country and the countries that the money is going to are 9 times out of 10 going to come back into this country and receive some type of voucher for a business. And some of the folks that have been in this country for a long time are not able to obtain said vouchers for their own businesses, such as selling water, selling hats on the street or whatever for an income. And we're being told that we're lazy and we don't want to do better, and living in housing should be a stepping stone to owning your own home. Well, when they think about that at their round table, they need to also think about increasing the pay so that persons will be able to live in the high cost of living. I cannot afford to buy a home if my check is not increased. There's a big difference between gross and net.
Yeah.
But if you're used to having money, you do not understand what I'm going through. And staying in a housing development overnight is not good enough for me. I need someone to go into a housing development, have the experience that residents experience every single day. And I'm talking during the winter time. I'm talking about when the elevator's not working and not where NYCHA says we're going to send you to a particular development. Let us tell you which development needs to be done. So that means, like, we have 5 boroughs, we need to have 10 political people go and see what we live through every day. And as it was said before, we can be consultants because we live this on a daily. All I'm asking is for someone to recognize the residents of NYCHA as human beings. That's what we are, human beings. Not just social security numbers, not just change the zone, not just a zip code, but we are human beings and we need to be respected as and treated as. And then we'll get people to come out and vote and maybe have some support towards politicians, because there'll be some guarantees in some form or fashion that there's someone who's going to follow his or her promise. Thank you, sir, for listening.
Yep, thank you, Kiko. When you talk about the diversity, I mean, that's one thing I'm well aware of. I mean, I know that from my personal experience from when I was mayor. I mean, you'll have somebody in public housing going to work every day, raising their family, helping their kids, and then trying their best to follow the rules and live a better life.
Right.
And then down the hall, you'll have somebody else whose kids are teenagers and they're hanging out in the hallway and they're smoking pot in the hallway and they're up late at night and they're keeping other people awake and stopping them from going to work the next day. And then you got a building with all senior citizens in it. And it's like way better. It's way better kept. It's in better condition. It's there's all kinds of, there's people that are working every day. There's people that are not working. There are kids, there are senior citizens. There's all different types of folks. And the challenge with public housing is it needs to be run better than it's run.
Yeah.
And I'm good at running things.
I just want to say one thing.
Signs off,
What's that,
Yeah,
Vernice?
Ms. Vernice.
if Governor Hochul signs off on the trust, because it's passed through your house, Tom. It's passed through Congress.
No, I don't think it passed through Congress. It's passed through the Assembly and the Senate, the state Assembly and state Senate. I'm in the federal government.
Okay, so it's passed through the state and they've signed off on it because what they have learned to do to use against us, they will have meetings and town halls and ask us our view and our opinions and collect the information and then infuse it in what they want. So now, because the trust was amended not too long ago, it was amended. They do a lot of meetings with us, the presidents and things. And then they take the information and it never seems to work out for us. So it's passed in the state and it's only up to Governor Hochul now to pass it for it to become a law. I believe they made it sound and look more appealing by taking the information that we give them in meetings and town halls. But it's not, in the end, it is not to benefit us. And that's a problem far beyond the incomes of the people in housing, far beyond the number of children who's in the hallway smoking weed. Is far beyond that, because as Ms. Tibbs said, they have money and then it's mismanaged. That's a far bigger problem. But when it's reported in the news or reported to the state Senate, it's reported like 7.5% of the adult kids have been to Rikers Island, and that's not the issue. They're holding that in front of your face while they're sneaking things past your back. The issue is what they do with the funds when they finally get it. I know Mayor Tall Drink of Water that just left, de Blasio, I'm sorry. He said he was going to give, for example, just an example, $50 million to NYCHA because of the pandemic, and in the pandemic and pre-pandemic, so many things were going on. So even if he didn't really come up with the 50 million, he did come up with 15. Where did it go? Where did it go? NYCHA is large, but they don't have checks and balance. Who checks NYCHA and audits NYCHA after they say they've spent the money on roofs and things like that?
I hear you. Rosalind Spigner, can you come on the camera for a second? You're texting me all this stuff. I'm not sure which thing you're trying to highlight here. You there, Roz? Come on the screen if you can. Roz?
I'm coming.
Hey there.
So
What
what
is
I
it?
did was I just took pictures of all of the questions, everything that was said, and I sent it to you.
Okay,
So
is there
that's
something-
just from the chat. It's
Is there
just from
something
the chat.
Is there something particular you want to highlight though?
No, I just want you to have everything. I have it and I just wanted you to have it. So
Okay.
all of the questions, all of the statements. Hi, cupbearer, how are you? That's my friend over there. How you doing?
Roz
Yeah,
Spigner is
so-
working on my campaign. She's from Southeast Queens.
Yes.
Well, listen, everybody, I really appreciate your time. You're a good group of people. You're very passionate. Listen, I can understand why you don't like politicians. You don't trust them. You don't like them. You're sick and tired of hearing stuff and then nothing getting done. I've been doing this for a long time, and you got to know some people that know me and ask them about me. And I'll work hard for you. So I hope you'll keep me in mind. And if you want me to come talk to you again, I'll be happy to come talk to you again. Manny, if you want to set it up, that's fine. If you want to bring in somebody like Marquise or his group too, that's fine too, whatever you want to do. I'm very interested in building a relationship with the people on this call.
I'll just say one thing. When you don't vote, a lot of people love it because then they get to make all the decisions for you and you don't get to weigh in on anything. So there are people that won't campaign, they lay low in the cut. Anybody who knows politics, they're like, yeah, people like that, yeah, let them stay quiet because then you don't get in their way. And if you start getting in their way, they'll start moving and doing things for you. So just remember that. Never just remain silent or invisible for anyone. Vote and come out in big numbers and vote for Tom Suozzi.
Thank you, Roz. That's why she's on my team. All right, you guys, have a great night. I know it's a
Hold
Friday
on,
night.
before you leave, you need to talk about NYCHA on your commercial. Let them
Yeah.
know what you're going to do for them.
Yeah, those commercials cost a lot of money. And the big issue I'm talking about is crime. That's my big thing. But there's a debate on Tuesday night. I had a debate last night. Kathy Hochul didn't show up. It was just me and Jemani. But I'm having a debate on Tuesday night. If there's a chance for me to bring up something about NYCHA in my debate, I will.
You will be able to bring up something about NYCHA. We're depending on it. You're depending on us. We're depending on you to mention NYCHA.
Okay.
And it's not just a crime, it's the crime of not taking care of NYCHA. Because remember this, sir, from my understanding, the mayor made a suggestion to you to utilize the rooftops of NYCHA as the harvesting ground for the cannabis. So we can talk about NYCHA some kind of way. He made that statement while we were in Albany. So NYCHA can be spoken on in some way, form, fashion, and not just relating to guns, because not every development is going through some of the unfortunate channels that other developments are going through. We have to stop putting NYCHA in such a dismal light. And we have to let people know that not only the Supremes came from housing developments, okay, but we have to remember Colin Powell. Let's remember Colin Powell, and let's remember that you have a lot of PhDs.
The police commissioner of New York, the police commissioner of New York City came from NYCHA.
Yes, and no disrespect to her, but you know that there's a lot of residents that have gone through a lot of channels, and we all hold PhDs. We're public housing development survivors. So, you know, at the end of the day, the bottom line is we are human. We need to be recognized as human. We need to be respected as human, and we are all taxpayers. Even, sir, if we're on public assistance, when we go to the grocery store, we are still spending tax dollars, and our tax dollars are being utilized without our permission. So we have invested in the city of New York and the state of New York, because some of our dollars will be building that Buffalo Stadium and that aquarium in Syracuse for 80 million. Yes, when we went to Albany, we met some people over there. The commissioner shared with us all the money that is being misappropriated without asking the people.
That
So
alone.
when y'all come and ask the people for assistance, listen to the people and respect some of our requests.
Okay.
So,
Thank
Tom,
you.
I just want to say
Everybody.
one thing. You got 500,000 people that are hurting, and you got 500,000 people that have anxiety and are and in some conditions that are very impacting. We don't need an opportunity to have our community mentioned. It's a demand. We need to be mentioned. We need to see our allies fight for us. If you're telling us that you're our ally, be that ally on Tuesday, and make sure that if it doesn't come up on this side of the discussion, we're counting on you to bring it up on your side of the discussion, because 500,000 people, 500,000 families cannot go silenced anymore. We're looking to you, Tom, and we appreciate you for coming out, and everyone else for coming out this evening. I thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your
God
time.
bless and good night.
Thank
bless
you,
you.
everybody. Thank you so much.
For your time.
God bless you all.
Everyone.
Tom, remember NYCHA on Tuesday.
Ms.
God
Tibbs,
bless
I would love
NYCHA.
to speak with you if possible.
Who?
Ms. Tibbs.
No
Oh.
problem.
Can you put your, oh, okay.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Mr.
All right.
Martinez has my number, Ms. Tibbs.
Yes, I'll do that. I'll make the connection.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. God bless us all. And at the end.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you for the invite.
God is going to work it out at the end of the day. God is going to work it out, because when you hurt somebody today, if it doesn't come back to you tomorrow, you still have that great grandchild who has not been born yet. And remember, each one teach one, and karma does not forget anybody. So it's going to come back to you. But if you can lay down at night and have a good night's sleep without aggravation, you know that you've done your job. If you
Amen.
can't, you know that the devil is riding on your tail, and he's going to get you, or he's going to get your kids, or he's going to get somebody because you're mistreating another human being, and it's just not right. It's
Amen.
just not right. We are human beings, and
Amen.
we need to be
Preach.
respected as human beings. Thank
Amen.
you, everyone. I love you, Manny. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mrs. Curry.
Good night.
Good night, Ronald. Everyone.
Amen,
Good night,
my
everyone.
sister. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I thank everybody for
Manny,
coming
this is
out.
Miss Simmons.
Thank you very much, Manny, for the invite. Appreciate
Take
it.
care, Phoenix.
Everybody that was on.
All righty.
All right. Have a great evening. Take care.
You too.